Let's welcome our next guest, tech journalist Guy Cocker, to talk about this week-long now attack on M&S. Marks and Spencer, one of the biggest known brands in the UK, suffering from a whole week of chaos online thanks to some sort of cyber attack. Well, Guy Cocker, I suppose the first question is, what is this cyber attack? Who's done it as far as we know? What has it actually affected?
Well, it's difficult to know. I'm sorry. Hi, Julia. It's difficult to know because Marks and Spencer's has been kept quite stum on the matter. It's not really explained what's happened beyond the fact that they can't take online orders, they're unable to take contactless payments, and there seems to be a lack of Percy pigs on the shelves, which is a big issue for me personally. I love those sweets, but yeah, the belief from cyber experts is that a group called Scattered Spider, who are sort of English-speaking US, UK conglomerate of, quite frankly, teenagers, have put together this attack. What's not clear though is that this group, and again, it's known under different pseudonyms. Yeah. It's a multinational. It's essentially a crime operation, has put in ransom attacks before, right. But it doesn't appear as though that's the case with Marks and Spencer.
So we're not sure what the motive is, because there's sometimes the motive is, I mean, and this happens to businesses all the time, like, you have to end up paying in Bitcoin, we've sealed all your computers, you can't get anything, we're going to take it all down and you've got a deadline, pay up. And whatever the ransom is, it's usually a lot cheaper than losing all your data and getting, not having a company running. But sometimes these attacks are kind of just for kicks, aren't they? Aren't they just sort of look what I can do, I'm responsible?
Exactly, yeah. Some of them can be. Some groups want to sort of show off their technical prowess and the fact that they can bring down a huge business like Marks and Spencer, who has lost about 7% of its value on the stock market, about 600 million in the last week. As you said, they haven't been able to take online orders for the last week. They've had staff that are waiting in the wings. Their agency workers haven't been working because they haven't been taking orders, and that's been losing them millions.
Yeah, but lots of people, their pensions will be, have shares in M&S. This is affecting a lot more people than than anyone working at M&S.
Yeah, and I should say Marks and Spencer has been doing very well on the stock market over the last three or 4 years. Yep. The executive Stuart Matchen's done a good job at turning that business around. But yeah, I think the feeling is this will be a short-term amount of pain. It shouldn't impact on that sort of great bastion of the British High Street and online that is Marks and Spencer. And I think we all want to see that business continue to do well because it's something that we use and it is great.
The trouble is, though, I mean, it's taken so long. Often we hear about these cases, they have to rebuild, and there's been some sort of problem, they have to start update all their systems, but it's been a week. Is that unusual for a business of this size to be hit for so long?
I mean, if we think back to attacks that have happened in the past with businesses like BA, where their systems have gone out, and then cybersecurity firms that have been like CrowdStrike was the big one from last year. I think even spoke about it. These businesses are paid millions to keep these sorts of businesses like retailers and service companies like BA to make sure that they're equipped for these sorts of attacks. And actually, this week alone, Co-op was attacked as well. But its systems, whatever cybersecurity systems it had in place, they were able to catch that attack and shut it down before it happened.
Presumably, they were on alert because of what happened to M&S. But this is the thing. Look, with BA, by the way, it's usually just their own computer system that's the problem rather than the cyber. They don't need a cyber attack to have a rubbish computer system. But the thing is, I mean, how do companies guard against this? Whether they are just, a little local firm who get ransomware demands, and this happens all the time, and again, it's usually a sum which they can reasonably pay, but to make it all go away, or big multinational firms, or indeed, we have the NHS got hit with a cyber attack a few years back as well. Sometimes these are from, a hostile national, government-backed actors. Sometimes they are terrorist groups. Sometimes they are just, a bunch of teenagers doing it for kicks, or people, or organised criminal networks. How could you possibly guard against this?
Well, there are multiple companies that are out there that you can hire. Obviously, you mentioned from the top, like a multinational like Marks and Spencer's, they'll spend millions on just making sure that their systems are as protected as they can be. Yeah. The problem with this stuff is that there's always there's always human error that's brought in. So a lot of these attacks can happen just because of weak passwords, or just an ex-employee, a disgruntled employee can be a weakness. So you can pay a lot of money to try and protect yourself, but ultimately,
one weak link. I mean, remember, we had that teenage hacker in the UK. He managed to get into the Defense Department and the Pentagon in the United States because some people working there, their password was quite literally password. I mean, extraordinary, but it does still happen. Tech journalist Guy Cocker, thank you very much indeed.